Hi, I'm Jason Bond at the Beacon Hill Hotel and Bistro on Charles Street in Boston. Today we're preparing a Huqua cured holiday duck. So this is a Pekin duck, about 5 or 6 pounds each duck, so good for 4 or 5 people for a nice dinner. Any good butcher can supply this duck fresh for you. Be sure and get fresh, they cook much nicer. The butcher can clean it up for you. They can take the wings off so it presents nicely, but be sure and ask them to save you the wing tips, the neck, all good for your sauce. Usually that'll be inside the duck, so the first thing you'll check is, find your neck, find your giblets. You'll find heart, gizzard, liver, all in there. Those are great for your sauce. So the duck now we'll flavor the inside while it roasts with 1 orange. We'll cut it in half so it fits more easily. We'll add 1 clove of garlic. And then so the duck roasts nice and even, we'll truss it. The butcher you buy it from can supply you with a nice length of twine. What we do here at the Beacon Hill Bistro is we use Huqua tea to cure this duck. Huqua has been around Beacon Hill for over 100 years. The old families, like Rose Nichols was one of the big families. She always served tea to her guests. The Beacon Hill tea is very simple. Usually a Huqua tea, which they sort of equate with a nice claret, a very rich dark tea. So, very filling in the afternoon with just a simple cake. So we use Huqua tea, a smoky tea, 2 ounces of tea, 2 ounces of black pepper, 2 ounces of sugar. We put that into a spice grinder, grind it up, and we toss that with about a pound of salt. Now, that all goes liberally coated on your duck, and that'll cure for about 4 hours. So we'll take a roasting pan. All this tea mixture just goes on your duck, nice and heavy. You can smell the smoke. It's really rich flavor. What happens is the salt will draw a lot of the moisture out of the duck, but then as it rests, the duck will draw that moisture back in with all that salt, all that pepper flavor, all that smoky tea flavor. And it really makes a nice flavor when the duck's finally roasted, just a light smoky flavor. So this duck will sit like this for 4 hours. When it's done, we'll wash it off and we'll roast it. So after 4 hours in the refrigerator, this duck, nicely cured, not too much. If you let it go too long, it takes sort of a hammy flavor. So 4 hours we find is just about right. After that, just a light rinse. Some of the cure on the outside is fine. It's just good flavor. Gently pat the duck dry so there's not too much moisture while you roast. Again, seasoning on the outside is just fine. We've made sure that there's still some seasoning in the cavity, which will season the juices. We have a nicely trussed duck that goes onto a cooking rack in our pan. I usually tie a string on the rack so that when it's done, you can more easily lift it out of the roasting pan. So this pan will add about 1/4 inch of a nice dry white wine. What this does, it prevents fat from burning in the pan. Ducks have lots of fat, and you'll pour it all away later. But while it's cooking, it'll go in the pan, so this wine will prevent it from burning and smoking. And it also sort of steams and flavors the duck as it goes. So depending on the size of your roasting pan, about 1/4 inch will do just fine. And from here, the duck goes directly into a 375-degree oven for an hour and a half. During that hour, the first 40 minutes, the duck will roast breast side up. After that, you'll very gently, I use wooden spoons, put it backbone side up. Another 20 minutes like that to help roast the thighs. And then the final half hour, you'll again rotate it very gently to be breast side up, finish, really brown the skin. So our duck has come out of the oven. It's been in for an hour and a half. It spent 40 minutes with the breast side up. We basted approximately every 20 minutes, between drinking wine and reading. About 20 minutes backbone side up, and then finally breastbone side up again. And in the last 10 minutes or so, we glazed it with some orange marmalade just to finish browning in the oven. If you like a darker skin, turn the oven all the way up and then put it in for about another 10 minutes and just keep an eye on it, and you can take it as dark as you like. And once it's finished roasting, we'll make the sauce in the same pan. We've tied string onto our rack so it's easy to bring it out. We can just lift it to a platter, and the duck can rest in a warm spot in your kitchen while we make the sauce. Now our pan had that 1/4 inch of white wine, and it's released a lot of duck fat while it's cooking. The wine kept it all from burning. What we'll do is we'll pour that into a little container. The fat will all float to the surface, and all the cooking juice, that nice stock you made, will be at the bottom. So we'll let that separate, and by the end of the sauce making time, we'll decant the fat and we'll add that nice stock that you made back to your sauce. So the first step in our sauce, we saute all the giblets, the neck bones, everything you have left over in the pan. Get a nice brown on those. A little bit of the duck fat you rendered out is perfect to saute those. The next step, we add cherry. About a 1/2 of a cup. And we add red wine, also about a 1/2 of a cup. And all those roasty bits in your pan, those will soak those up and you'll get a really nice base for your sauce. So this first step with the wine and the giblets, you let that reduce down to a glaze. The other thing you can do while that's cooking, you get the orange flavor into your sauce. First we'll zest the remaining 3 oranges in this recipe. The alcohol in the wine will cook off, and that'll go away in just a minute or so. So nothing to be afraid of. So, zest with 3 oranges to start out. Then at the very end of the sauce, we'll take the segments from these oranges and finish the sauce with that, so you get all the orange flavor in there. The wine cooks to a glaze, which again imitates the caramelization of roasting, so you get a dark, rich flavor. You should be able to move your spoon across and it'll leave a trail. French call it a cordon. After that's done, you can take a nice rich stock. Ideally one you've made yourself, or buy one at a good butcher. Use veal stock, duck stock, anything is fine. You see all the jelly in this one, so a really nice stock. We'll add that. And again, to reinforce the bittersweet flavors here, we'll add orange marmalade. We make a Seville orange marmalade. We make enough for a year. Every year about this time when Seville oranges come out, sometimes bitter oranges, bitter lemons when they come out. We also add a little jelly for sweetness. You make a black currant jelly or a wild cherry jelly. Any of those flavors are nice. This is a beach plum jelly from down in Westport. That sweetness will go really nice with a roasted duck. So our sauce is finally finished. The final step to complete the sauce, we'll add orange segments to a separate pan. You can add any seasonal fruit. We're using some husk cherries, a local wild fruit. And then, unless you'd like to serve your giblets, you may, but we'll strain this out so you don't have any large pieces. Now you have a nice rich duck sauce with the fresh fruits. And the final step, just spoon this over your roasted duck and serve. That's it. Spoon this fresh fruit in your sauce all around the duck and over the skin. Start with a nice rich stock, and the juices you rendered when you're cooking should be very nice. Escapee. You can garnish with any seasonal fruit. Later in the season, we'll have all kinds of nice citrus. Right now we have little husked cherries from down near the ocean in Westport. Seasonal green you might like. We use a little pea green. And then just like any holiday, you can present it to your guests, carve it tableside if you like, or take it back in the kitchen and carve it and serve it separately. There it is, Hukwak-Cured Holiday Duck from the Beacon Hill Bistro.